Hello everyone, welcome to part 8 of my Pokemon DS Sprite editing tutorials, where I actually thought I wouldn't have anything else to say after part 7. But you guys have continued to come back and watch these tutorials and ask a lot of questions, and I've had a lot of fun answering them, so I decided to expand on that and created a Discord server just this week, where you guys can use the link in the description to join the server and ask your questions directly where we can discuss it. Though I do want to be clear that I'm not some sprite editing guru where you're gonna climb to the top of the mountain and ask me any question and I'll have the answer for you, as really the only reason I know anything about sprite editing is because of me wanting to make a really fun Nuzlocke series. So really that's the kind of help I'll be able to give you. If you want to make visual changes to a DS ROM, I can do what I can to help you be able to do that for your own series, or even just something for fun with you and your friends. But if you want to do things like get into hex coding and editing events and stuff like that, you'll probably want to go to other places like Poke Community and the big forum discords, where I've been in there and they have a lot of good people who know a lot more than I do. This server is just mostly for things pertaining to what I have in my own videos here. But if you have any questions like that, please feel free to come in and I'll do what I can. A couple of people have joined the server with some really good questions, and through them I've actually learned a couple things that I wanted to add to this video tutorial series. And that's what brings us here today for this topic. The first of which is what this video here is about, where a YouTuber named Cool Shallow already owned Photoshop and really didn't want to buy a sprite if he didn't have to. But up to this point, I really didn't know of a way to use Photoshop to properly index these images so they'll be accepted by the ROM. Indexing is not really important for things like overworld sprites, which is usually the first thing people try to edit and that goes great. Then you go into like Pokemon sprites themselves, as you saw in part 3, or trainer battle sprites inside there where they have to be indexed to only use about 16 colors in their palette so the ROM can properly load them. But Cool Shallow set out to see if they could find a way to do it, and they did. So they explained it to me and I tried to learn as much as I could from that to make this video. And actually in doing so, on top of that, we also learned how to use a free program called Graphics Gale as well. What I'm gonna do is similar to what I did with the third video about Pokemon sprites. I'm going to go through the whole process, start to finish, of making the sprites and putting them into the ROM. That way you can see the indexing process for both Photoshop and Graphics Gale. We're going to start with Photoshop, but if you want to skip right ahead to when I'm talking about Graphics Gale, here's a timestamp you can use. And also, if you need a copy of Graphics Gale, I've updated the zip file of tools in the description of my video to not only have a link to their website, but to also have the exact installation media that I use to install the software. Just in case their website goes down, or you want to try to use the exact version of the software that I'm using, I don't know. I thought it would be useful just in case. But okay, let's give it a shot in Photoshop here. So the first thing we're going to do is actually something we're going to use for both of the software, and that's to make the basic sprite. So to do that, we're going to open my old friend Tink. Go into my tried and true Pokemon Platinum under PokeTool, PokeGraphic, and get this NARC file here, which would show up right there. Beautiful. And with that, we can minimize Tink and then open up DS Pick Platinum right here and open our NARC and get our example image here. Okay. I'm not doing what I did in part 3 with Gengar, so I have to scroll down a million miles to get back to the file. We're just going to work with Bulbasaur. So I'm going to save the PNG right to desktop. Bulba. Save. Good. This is old hat for me, but I wanted to make sure to use an example here that has the correct dimensions, stuff like that. So we're going to go and do the most basic. Open up Paint. I'm going to try to do as much as I can, aside from, Photoshop. Just trying to use software that I know you will already have, or can get a hold of with Graphics Gale. So I'm going to drop you in here. Perfect. Oh, I see it's remembered my dimensions. Cool. Alright, so we're going to open up another Paint, because I can't do tabbing, so this is the easiest way to do this. Oh, drop that one. Okay. And we're just going to prepare a front and a back sprite. So first, I'm going to copy this and put this here, just to quickly get a consistent background. So I can do that, get the eyedrop tool, boom. Alright. Then, oh, you know what? Let's grab the other side. Make sure this box will fill. And I should be able to, no, not change the dimensions, Mr. Program. Ah! Okay, just wipe the slate clean. Okay, and then I can just grab a copy of the front sprite I want to use. Yeah. Now, I'm not gonna be too picky. I don't have to waste a lot of time trying to find the exact places this Pikachu should be. This is just an example of how to work with the colors, so it doesn't really matter where they are in the image. When you're making your own, you want to make sure they're in the exact same spot in their own 80 by 80 box, like that. So I can at least be a little closer than that. There we go. Okay, so that should be a correct front one. So we're going to save this. We're going to... Oh, it saved the Bulba. Whoops. I didn't need him anyway. We're going to rename that Ash. No, it's the caps lock key. PIKACHU front paint. This will all make sense later. Remember, like I said before, master of filing. Okay, so then just take my box friend and murder these two. That's not the murder box. This is the murder box. There we go. Okay. And then we just take this one, copy this part here, take that and put that. Okay. Cool. And paste it again. Again, not being too picky about where these guys are gonna go. Perfect. Alright. And file, save as, and then find our guy here. But this will be back. Okay, so they're made from scratch. I wanted to make sure that if I use any of my existing images, that their previous indexing wouldn't come over and affect it, so it didn't work in the video, or so that it did work in the video, but it didn't end up working for you because there's a part that I missed. Try to be as thorough with this as I can. So what we'll do from there is we should be good to murder both these paints. Don't save, that's fine. Okay, and we can jump immediately into Photoshop. Now I still have CS6 on my computer. I haven't gone to the CC way yet. But it should be the same for both versions from there. Alright, so we'll take our front guy, bada bing, bada boom. There he is. Now generally I find this is not necessary, but if you find for any reason that the steps I'm about to show you don't work, there may be some transparency on the image. Like generally if you look here and the opacity is 100%, there's no other layers like that, it should be that there's no transparency, no alpha channel, but you can ensure that by taking this layer. Then you can do layer mask from transparency. And this should specifically select all the transparency in the image and make it editable by this little box here. But we can take that and just murder it. Delete the layer mask. But you don't do a disable or apply, because this will actually take it and we isolated it with the mask and just remove it with the mask. And that's it. So that's a way to cleanly know there's no transparency to mess up the indexing later. So it may not be necessary, but it's just something that you guys should know going forward. And once that's done, we can then go into image mode and index color. This brings up our little window. Make sure this isn't checked, because that's the same thing as the alpha channel kind of thing. no transparency. Also, you can see that it changes it above 16 colors, and that's what they're supposed to be for these images here. And a secondary thing is to make sure that the background color, which doesn't matter what it is, it just needs to be the first color in the palette order. So you want to make sure that this is changed from none to custom, which will open this box here. So you want to take this and move this out of the way, so you can just take your mouse and click there. I'll put the color here, hit OK, and that's it. And that's the only one you need to force out of all the other colors. So you click OK. Okay, so exact, 16, custom, love it. Okay. And then you can do mode again, come down the color table, and you'll see all the colors here, which are thankfully 16, so that's a complete upper row. That's very nice as a reference to make sure you have the right number of colors. And the background image is perfectly set as the first color. All right, and that's good. So you're gonna click OK, because we're all happy. That should be good. Indexed. So we can do File, or we can do Save As again. And now we're gonna have... this is the front, but make this PS or Photoshop. Save. Okay. Show up here. Nice. All right, love it. And now we need to do the exact same thing. Well, we need to get the back sprite indexed as well, but we can't do the exact same thing in here. I'll show you why. So we go like this. No, not there. I keep doing that. You don't want to drag it here. That would put it over this image. You want to put it down here, and then open it up as a new tab. There we go. So now we have both of them here. And so the same thing. I'm not going to worry about the mask this time. Like I said, that shouldn't be necessary unless you were working with transparency. So we'll go to No Image Mode, Indexed, and it won't matter for this. So we're just going to do 15. That's fine because one of the colors in the other sprite isn't showing up here. I think it's the cheek, but I'm not sure. It might be his tongue. Yeah. So we'll click OK. And now, if you see though, when I go to the color table, they're not in the same order as they were for this Pikachu. Like the green is here and all that. But these two palettes have to match the way they are inserted into PokeDS Pick. So logic would say you could go, oh, save it, and then like just do Photoshop Chew and save, hit OK, and then come over and just image mode, color table, load it like that. But since it's indexed, it's going to directly relate the color in that spot to where it is on the image after it's been indexed. Doesn't care before, but it does later. And that's why I like a Sprite, because you can be in RGB mode, still see this palette, and work with it, and then index it later once you're ready. But with Photoshop, it's still not that hard to get around this. You can just cancel this, it'll turn back to what he was. What you can do instead is just Control A, copy, and then paste it over that. And so, since it's indexed, it's going to just replace what was there before. No new layer or anything. Be all set. And then you can check the color table. Nothing has changed. It just took what you gave it and applied the colors to the correct pixels without affecting anything. So then, you want to carefully save as and do PIKACHU back. Save. And that it'll appear here. And just for organization, I'm going to put it that there, this there. That way it's just going in order. Nice. Okay. And that's it. So these two should now match. And if I come back into our friend here, and I was to go, I am on the first one, right? Okay. So I'm going to do, open PNG, find not paint, but front Photoshop. Okay, didn't yell at me. Love it. Right to narc. I'm going to skip this one because I need to explain something with that later. I'm gonna go into the male front sprite, or is this the female? I'll have to go to the other gender. No. Go to the front sprites. Pick the same image again. Be sure again, right to narc. Get down to, okay, skip this gender. Get down to 48. And insert it into the palette as well. Cool. Now the bulbas are going to be all messed up. Yep. But the Pikachus are a-okay. Wait a minute. I put the front sprite on the... Oh, yeah. Okay. Let me just get that all nice and good here. There you go. Perfect. Okay. So now that image is good. Then that image is good. And the shiny palette's still fine. Now the reason that I skipped these other two is what I just showed you, how we took the back sprite and pasted it in here and it remapped where the colors were without messing up the image. What you can do with that, if you wanted to, was to change different color areas with the same colors in the palette, mind you, on the Pokemon, so you could technically make the genders different colors. Now again, Cool Shallow showed me a cool little thing he did with Magikarp, where this was his male sprite, and this was his female sprite. Now you can see they're using the same colors, just in different areas. So you can use this copy and paste effect to remap it, and it'll still go in just as fine. And that way when you also apply the shiny palette, it'll recolor the same colors, but in the different areas as well. Like this, and like this. And speaking of the shiny palette, this is where it gets a little tricky, but what we can do is we're going to go back to our friend. We can go ahead and close these two down. Do not save that old one again. I would undo all of my work. We'll put our front guy back in here. Okay. So if you want to do a shiny, different kind of thing, you can go through with the color table. Now these colors pertain to where they are on Pikachu. So if I wanted to make a green Pikachu, I can click the color, bring up this little table. Green, okay. Oh, this is gonna be beautiful. Okay, so this is a yellow, a little darker, so I'll do green, a little darker. Oh, I'm so sorry. And then this is the yellow, it's even darker, so we can go green and just a little darker. Alright, cool. Then we have a little bit darker here as well. So green, and we'll call it the green that's very dark. Ah, beautiful. Okay, cool. Now I can click OK. And then File, Save As. And we'll bring back our own friend, Shiny-Chew. Front, Photoshop, cool. Now, we don't have to make a back sprite for that too, because really it's just going over this 48, which is a palette file. So I can just open PNG, find Mr. Shiny-Chew, still didn't yell at me about indexing, nice, love it, and write to narc. So this one, you scroll away, you come back, looks good. And this one, you're just seeing the front sprite, but then it being applied with the shiny palette. So you can tell he'll look fine with that. And if you want to view the back one, you can look at the back and then use this to jump down to the palette. And you can see that it's already changing the same colors. So this already looks fine. You don't have to do anything else from there. So from this point, if you had different colors for the other gender, you could insert them, but I can just go in and insert my other guy. So do back, right to narc, front, right to narc, and they are all good. And that's it. So if you have Photoshop, you can use those steps to get your guys into your ROM. But we're only halfway done, because that's Photoshop, and we're going to switch over now to Graphics Gale. So if you skipped from before in the video, hi! You missed a lot of fun. But anyway, we will close you down. Close this. And just to start fresh, we're going to murder this Pokemon Narc and get a fresh one. And if I was right, I left this open. Awesome. I can just take that, extract it. Okay. And you'll show up. There you are. Okay. Minimize. And we're good to go. So now I have Graphics Gale. Opens it here. And we're going to return back to the ones that we made in Paint before. So they're completely non-indexed. They're freshly made. There's no way there's been any index applied to them before from a Sprite. So this will be sure to work for you guys. So now we can drag both the front and the back Paint sprites into here. And we can see them side by side. And right now there's no indexing. So over here you can see all the colors are available. We don't want that. So we can do all frames, color depth, and you can actually use type A, 8BPP, or type B, 8BPP. But personally, I've had more success with type B, but if you have any trouble with this one, you can try type A and see if that works any better. And then secondly, you can see that when this is picked, it says 256 colors. But as far as I can tell, you're not supposed to use more than 16. So you can play with that as you want, but just remember that it's 16 colors with 8 BPP, and that should index correctly. So when I click OK, I get my full top row of 16 colors. Nice and perfect. And the rest of these are just fluff black ones. Okay. And then I come here, do the same thing again. Color depth, type B. And it's the same thing, but when I click on both of these, you can see that these are changing. And if you watch the Photoshop portion, you already know that what I can do, so this little arrow right here, is save the palette. And so we're going to have Graphics Gale Chew. And this is a .pal file. So save it. Cool. And then I can come over to this one. And with Photoshop, I had to copy it over here because when I applied the other palette, it changed these colors on it because they're in a different order. But Graphics Gale has an option to get around that. So we do load palette, file, import from file, find our PIKACHU pal. Okay, so the thing I was talking about before is this one, match pixels to colors. If you leave this checked, it will apply it without changing the colors. If you uncheck it, then it will swap the colors around to how they match on that. So you have to make sure though that you click all here, because right now this is still the live palette. So click all, and now they match, and you can click OK. And now that's the same there. He's not affected, and there is no swapping of color between these two. And now they're good. So I can take this one, file, save as, and now this is PIKACHU front Graphics Gale. Save, U, file, save as, PIKACHU back, Graphics Gale. Oh, wait. I almost messed myself up with the most important part of this. Alright, so cancel. I need to murder this one. There's one more thing you have to do. So when you have this, you do file, save as, with alpha channel cannot be checked. Again, back to the Photoshop portion, when we did the layer mask and deleted it, that ensured there was no alpha channel and there was no transparency on the image. So you want to make sure when you save it here, that removes any chance of being transparency as well. So now I can do PIKACHU front GG, save, that should be good. And then do the same thing, this one here, so no to you, and then back, GG, save. Okay, that should be good. And I had meant to say, back when we were loading the palette, as a side note, that this method, when you open up this, and you go to all, and you keep this checked, this is the portion you want to leave on. If you color your other gender a different color, but still have them use the same color. Like, both genders have to use the same colors in the same palette in the same order, but this option will let you directly apply it without having to repaint them again, essentially. So it's the same thing in this software as well. Okay, so I can cancel that, go back to what I was doing. So these two should be good. So I can return back to the fresh copy of the Narc that I made. Come down to Bulbasaur. Open PNGs. Now, I didn't use different color genders. I'm just going to insert the back GG. Didn't yell at me. I love it. Come down. Insert back GG again. Then we get down into the front. GG. Love it. One more of the front GG. Then we get down to the palette, number 48. Oh, Hulk Angry Chew. So same thing. Now we can get the palette off of the front sprite. Yep, make sure I pick GG. That's the right one. And if I scroll back up through, all nice and changed. Love it. Okay, as I showed before, if you want to make your own version of a green Pikachu, you can move this out of the way for now. And we're done with the back one. We'll take this guy. And it's the same thing. We'll go to his palette. So I'm going to take the light yellow, make it green. Oh dear. Oh, it's just as beautiful as the first time. So then green, but a little darker. And there we go. Again. Well, green, but a little darker. Ah, beautiful. And you can see that it's directly going to affect... Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, do not be fooled the way that I was, by the way. This is not Zoom. It's this magnifying glass over here. I don't know whose bright idea that was. Okay, so there's still one more yellow here. Like, it's not quite as dark as the other one, so let's make it a medium one, like around here. Perfect. We'll call him the unripe Pikachu. And that's about it. So it always should have the other indexing. Everything else is fine from before. No alpha channel, but we'll make sure. So file, save as, yeah, cool. But now we're doing, where are you? Okay, Shiny Chew, GG. So we do save. Awesome. Come back in here. Open PNG. That. Right to Narc. Bing, bing. And the same test as before. So you can jump right from this one to that one to preview it. And it already uses the indexing to color the right parts as well. Even though we didn't do anything to it. And that's it. So if you follow those steps and make sure that no transparency ends up on those images, you don't have to use a sprite to do that anymore. You can either use the Photoshop you already have or the free program Graphics Gale to go from there. And this is the same thing for the indexing that you would use, like I said before, on battle sprites and other ones on the other software as well. So with these steps, I think, even though my future videos are going to have a sprite in them, you can come back to this video and see how to do it with this software instead. Alright, we should be good to go from there. So like I said, I opened up that Discord server and all of you are welcome to join. I'd love to talk to you about the stuff you're working on and directly see what you guys need help with on making these tutorial videos work for you. And if I end up learning anything from our experience, I can make that a tutorial as well. How about other people with what they want to do? So I think this is the cool system. I don't know where it'll go, but we'll at least give it a shot and see what we can do from here. If not, I'll still keep making tutorials as I learn stuff. You can keep coming back to watch them as well. And again, real big shout out to Cool Shallow for showing me how to do this. I think this is going to help out a lot of you guys. And all right, have a good day from here. Good night, everybody.